Hey, a very good morning to one and all. So today will be exploring an important mechanism or important concept in building secure backend applications, where we will be using called something called authentication, how it will be processed in our system, and everything will be looking into that. So today I am going to walk through an secure authentication system built with using Django and OAuth with the refresh token mechanism. Have you ever seen how your application recognizes you with your email or username and password? It is a normal thing, but coming to another process, which is nothing but OAuth framework, you come across something called sign in with Google or sign in with GitHub. So, have you ever seen or known how that works? Because you are not giving your real passwords and credentials, you are just giving something access to the system without giving the credentials such as password and username. So, we'll be looking into how it works and what are the different mechanisms that can be used for building secure applications, such as JWT and session based authentication and this OAuth framework in this system. Yeah, coming to my recent project, secure Django authentication system with OAuth 2.0 and token rotation. So yeah, it is a production grade containerized Django authentication backend because containerized means you can run it anywhere. I have used Docker desktop or Docker Compose for containerizing and featuring secure session management and Google, comma, GitHub OAuth 2.0 integration and an advanced family-based rotating refresh token system with automatic reuse detection and mass revocation. Yeah, coming to the advanced family-based rotating means there are two types of security systems. One is JWT authentication and another one is the session-based authentication system. So I will explain you with an practical way. Take a moment. Yeah, coming to the normal session-based authentication, what it is happening is whenever user tries to log in with their credential, the browser sends the details and server authenticates the credentials with the actual password and username. It is not checking with the actual password. It will be something called hash of the password, because saving the plain text passwords is secure vulnerable in production ready systems. So yeah, whenever the server authenticates, it creates a session, because for every time the website has to remember who you are and what are the permissions you are having. So server creates a session and stores in the session store as a DB, and session ID. What is the session will be forward to the client. I mean the user again with something called cookie. The cookie will be stored in the browser, and for every request, the cookie will be added to that request, and the backend service verifies the session and responds with the data. This is how a session-based authentication works. And coming to the JWT authentication, here we are using something called JSON Web Tokens. It is something secured than session-based authentication, but here also some trade-offs has been considered, because it JWT tokens are stored in the local storage, which is an vulnerable, which can lead to XSS attack, which is nothing but cross-site scripting, where a malicious attacker can access that refresh token. The security will be lost. So yeah, the JWT authentication, the user logins and the server creates an authentication and cookie with JWT. The server signs the cookie, and for every request, the cookie will be assigned, and the backend service will verify that JWT. The signature has been changed, then the server thinks something has exposed and assigns a new refresh token. So this is the session-based authentication and JWT authentication. Now I have implemented an hybrid approach using refresh token with the session-based authentication, which is more secure for long-lived login systems and mobile apps because we don't want to log in again and again. Coming to the core security features, so the session-based authentication, and we are using something called Django's REST framework session authentication and CSRF protection, cross-site resource forgery, which is an attack done by the hackers, and the cryptographic token hashes. So we are not storing the token as a plain text. We are converting the token into a hash value while using SHA-256 in the stored in the database and family-based rotating system. How refresh token works will be, yeah, rotating the refresh token database region. So first one is creation. User logs in and database generates a token A with family ID 123, and we'll be assigning the boolean flag for user equal to false for the first time. And rotation, I mean the user requests a new session with token because we'll be using different types of works and different work. So we need to have a new session. A database verifies the token A is user equal to false, and marks marks the token A as true with the boolean flag. And database generates a token B with the family ID and user equal to false. So the rotation has been done here. So whenever a reuse detection, for example, attacker steals the unuser's token A, the database checks token A and sees user equal to true. Because we have rotated a token, I mean, will be generating a token B, but the attacker is still trying to access the token A. So which is a security breach. So revocation, the database executes and removes that family of tokens. I mean, so yeah, this is the architecture overview of Google and GitHub. You can access these credentials in the Google Cloud and also in GitHub Developer for an client secret and client key. So the database schema for the users and OAuth account and the refresh token. So yeah, coming to the practical demonstration and code. So this application is completely Dockerized, so you don't need to worry about this working on my system, not working on another system. So I have defined two services. One is DB, the database, and the image is Postgres 15 Alpine, and the web. This is our system, which will be building with the Docker image of Docker file. And for both the services, I have added the health check within the test and interval. So yeah, config is our project, and the accounts is our application. Let's start with the views.py where the business logic will be written, importing necessary libraries, and define the login view using the API view, and permission classes is allow any means because login has to be done by everyone and logout has to be done by only the users who are authenticated. So login permission classes for allow any for login, and it uses post request, and login serializer means whenever user sends the data in the JSON, we need to check the data whether the email was present or not. So we are using something called serializers. It ensures that everything was written or not. So the login serializer for the login class. and we are storing the validated data and authenticate the user. And once authenticated, we are logging the user. We are generating something called token hash and the raw token with the generate refresh token defined in the utils.py. For every user, we are generating something called raw token and the token hash. So 64 bytes token URL safe, we are generating a hash value, and using SHA-256 and hash library, we are storing the token hash, and we are returning the response. And you need to know who is the user just logged in. You can user me view and define the endpoints in the urls.py. So coming to the Google login direct view. So once a user logins with the Google, sign up with Google, this code will be executed and these parameters will be sent to the URL. And whenever user clicks GitHub login, so this will be called. And the redirect URI means once the user logs in, we need to redirect to our application. So that's a callback. And OAuth connect view, because the user can be logged in with a Google or GitHub. So we are assigning a dynamic value of the provider. And refresh token I have already mentioned, because once a token is expired, we need to generate a new token. And the logout view. You have seen that permission classes is authenticated, because login users only can be logged out. And once the user is logged out, we are setting all the refresh tokens to be null. I mean, we are just revoking all the tokens. And once the user logs in with their credentials, we are just redirecting them to a something called dashboard, a simple get request and a message, and url.py. All the API endpoints are defined at here for login auth/login. You can see this dynamic value because of it can be Google or GitHub. Okay, let's make a practical demonstration. Okay, the Docker is not running. These are the API endpoints with their. Okay, let's see the Docker is running or not. Yeah, it may take some time because it need to be restarted. Yeah, the Docker engine is running. You can find a lot things about this session-based authentication and JWT authentication and this OAuth framework, because explaining all the things at a time will be difficult. Yeah, the application was built. Okay, let's make using Thunder client an application user for making this curl request. Let's start with the login. I have already created an account in the admin page, so I will be just logging with the super user credentials. I'll show you the admin page. So this is our admin page for the. Okay, let's see what's happening. Yeah, everything is running. It may took some time. Yeah. So these are all some test users I have created. You can create on your own if you want. The CSRF token is missing with the request, so you can take your CSRF token and within the headers, we are request headers. We'll be assigning. Yeah, the server responded with 200 status code. Okay, it needs to be set as okay. Capital letter is case sensitivity. Yeah, the token has been changed. And the token has been changing. Okay, let's try to run it with all the capital letters. Yeah, it's been responding with the 200 okay, but we are not seeing the details. I mean, the actual details. Yeah. So the metadata has been written with the user ID and the username, and along with that, we are getting something called refresh token. Okay, let's get the. Yeah, who is currently logged in with. You can access with the API endpoint. If you want to sign in with your Google or GitHub account, I will also show you that too. So this is the endpoint for logging with your Google account. So you have seen something in your applications while when you're logging into any. Yeah. So once it's successfully, we are just redirecting to a normal API endpoint slash dashboard. Okay, let's try to log in with in another browser within the same account. Let's see what will happen. So the mail has been used twice. You can see that the service account is linked already to another user because just now we have been logging with an mail. Yeah, because once I have already logged in with the email account, so it's showing that redirecting to the dashboard endpoint. But in coming to the new user or with a new email, it will asking something called. It will ask profile and address. When we hit continue, it will be redirecting to this page. Okay, let's test with the GitHub also. and it uses something called state parameter because the Google servers will issue a access token, and the backend, our Django backend will use that access token for every request. So yeah, once we have already logged in with this account, so it will be showing this social account is already linked to another user. Let's try in another browser within different account. So yeah, you can see that it will ask something like that, and when we hit authorize, it will just authorizing the application. So yeah, either Google or GitHub, it will be redirecting to our dashboard page because we have defined at views.py. So yeah, once we are able to log in with the provider, either GitHub or Google, we'll be redirecting to our dashboard. So that's it. How I build the secure Django authentication system using session-based authentication and OAuth. Yeah, if you have any doubts, you please comment it down. Thank you.